Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to the shelterpetproject.org and meet a few who are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener who loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to the shelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
Welcome to the 13th Annual Disability Awareness Day celebration for the City of Cleveland. We are delighted that you have joined us today. My name is Mary McNamara, and I'm proud to serve as the Director of the Department of Aging for the City of Cleveland. And I want to welcome you to Fairhill Partners, a place I worked for 6 years and still consider home. At the Cleveland Department of Aging, we partner with Fairhill Partners regularly on programs like Matter of Balance, the Senior Guest House, the Aging and Disability Resource Center programs. You might not know it, but the building you're in today is shaped like an anchor. This was originally a merchant marine hospital. It's also the place where I met Senator Kennedy as he kicked off President Obama's campaign about 10 years ago. So this room holds a special place in my heart. And if this is your first time here, I hope before you leave, you'll take a few moments and learn a little bit more about the resources here on this campus for you. I want to give you a few housekeeping items. First, restrooms are just outside this room. Women's are behind me. Men's are on the opposite side. If you need assistance today, please look for someone in a green shirt. The staff of the Department of Aging is wearing a bright green shirt, so you can easily identify us. If you didn't receive a lunch yet as you came in, please raise your hand, and staff in green shirts will get one for you. So, any lunches needed? Great. Well, feel free to get another drink if needed, etc. out there. I want to let you know that today's program is being recorded by the City of Cleveland's cable station, TV20, and Dan is in the back room recording it. So please let your friends and family know who didn't come today that they can view this on TV20. In the next couple of days, it will air and it will live on TV20, so we'll be able to share these good resources. Also at your chair is a resource bag I hope you'll take with you. In addition to celebrating all abilities today, we also hope to connect each of you to new resources in our community. We do have some vendors outside, so please also stop and visit them on your way out. At this time, it's really my pleasure to introduce our mayor. Mayor Frank G. Jackson is the 56th mayor of the City of Cleveland. Among his many accomplishments is one where, under his leadership, the Department of Aging at the City of Cleveland was designated as an Aging and Disability Resource Center through the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging. This designation follows a national movement across the country to create aging and disability resource networks and centers where individuals can access a single point of entry for benefits, for information, and resources. Please join me in inviting Mayor Jackson to the podium to welcome you.
Good morning. Good morning. And how are you this morning? Good, good. You know, I want to welcome everyone to the 13th Annual Disability Awareness Day. And as you know, October is Disability Awareness Employment Month. I want to thank the Department of Aging and also the Hearing and Speech Center for sponsoring this, along with our other sponsors. Without them, we would not be able to do this. As the director said, we in the city put tremendous focus on aging and disability. Why? Because everyone should be able to participate in whatever the quality of life, the prosperity, all those good things about the city of Cleveland. And if we don't make it intentional, if we don't do it intentionally, then it just won't happen. And so we put a lot of attention on ensuring that everyone is part of what we do in the city of Cleveland. I know the director mentioned about Case Western Reserve University. What is the organization? Western Reserve on Aging. We also considered we are an age-friendly city. And the things that we do around ensuring as we invest money, particularly capital dollars, we want to make sure that we do it in a way that support the aging and those who are disabled. So again, welcome to the luncheon. Have a good time. I apologize for not being able to stay the whole luncheon. I usually stay the whole luncheon. I won't be able to do it this year, but I just want to be here to welcome everyone and say to everybody, have a good time while you're here, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jackson, for your leadership and your commitment to our department and the residents we serve. We do have a program we're following today. You should have gotten that when you came in, and I just want to let you know that Councilman Conwell will be joining us later, but in the interim, we're delighted that Councilman Blaine Griffin, who is the councilman for Ward 6, which is where we're sitting right now, is able to join us today. Blaine formerly was the Director of Community Relations and has a long history of working in the social service network, particularly at East End Neighborhood House right down the road. So at this point, I'd like to welcome Councilman Blaine Griffin to the podium.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to do like Mayor Jackson said twice because this is a fun event. So we're supposed to have here to have a good time. So good morning. Good morning. All right. I just want to just say, first of all, welcome to Ward 6 and welcome to the Fairhill Center. Fairhill Partners is a jewel in the community. I really like to take a moment to thank Stephanie Fall Creek for being such a prized jewel in this community and to this city. So we can give her a round of applause. My office is actually here in Ward 6, and it's primarily because of the traffic and the community residents, particularly the seniors that come into this building. I know that Director McNamara told you that I worked at East End Neighborhood House. One of my friends and mentors that actually worked with me when she was at Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging, when I worked with the senior population at East End Neighborhood House, was Valerie Vincent. So I see Valerie here today, and I tell Valerie I had good training on how to make sure that we gave high quality service to senior citizens, the aging, and the disabled community in our city. And my children went to A.G. Bell, so I am particularly keen on the responsibilities and services that we need to provide to the hearing impaired community. So it is an honor and a privilege to sit here and speak to you today. Councilman Kevin Conwell started this event, and I thought that it was a great idea for him to start this event because we always have to show our appreciation for all of the segments of our community. I'll be remiss if I didn't acknowledge some of my Ward 6ians that are here today. I know we have people from St. Luke's Manor and other folks here today. So I really want you all to have a great time. And once again, welcome to Ward 6, and please enjoy your entire month of celebration. Thank you so much, and I will look forward to having Councilman Conwell in a few. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. At this time, to offer remarks on behalf of the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging, I'd like to invite forward Fatima Perkins, who is the Director of Community Outreach and Advocacy, to tell you a little bit more about the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Everyone keeps saying, say hello, right? Well, I know how to turn up the fun. It's dreary outside, right? Right. But it's warm and cheery and sunny in here, correct? Right. Turn to your neighbor and say, thanks for bringing in the sunshine. All right, so now I see some happy faces, okay? So greetings from the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging Board of Trustees, our CEO, Dr. E. Douglas Beach, and the area agency workforce, my colleagues who are sitting at that table as well. We are indeed honored to be a part of today's event, a celebration of deaf culture. We appreciate the City of Cleveland Department on Aging and its partners for putting on this event to raise awareness. Why is the area agency here? We are here because of you. We exist because of you. We want to make sure that people have the supports that they need to remain independent in their homes. We are a planning entity for services and programs for older adults and individuals with disabilities. And a friend of mine, she uses another term, she says unique attributes. Okay, so who are the people I'm referring to? It's each and one of you sitting in this space. As you know, we serve a 5-county area, Cuyahoga, Geauga, Lake, Lorraine, and Medina counties. So, let's brag a little bit. Last year, the area agency had over 600,000 interactions with consumers and stakeholders to help people stay in the community. In a nutshell, we provide advocacy, assistance, and answers. Let's talk about assistance. You may know many of our programs: Passport, My Care Ohio, Ohio Home Care Waiver, Older Americans Act, Aging and Disability Resource Network, Family Caregiver Support, and of course our wonderful outreach efforts. Reflecting on the Aging and Disability Resource Center, and yes, Mary, I'm going to give the number, 216-621-0303, or 1-800-626-7277. We refer to the Aging and Disability Resource Center as the front door. Why is it the front door? Because when you go through the front door of somebody's home, you basically have access to everything. When you call the ADRC, you have access to everything, okay? We provide leadership for several community-based resource centers. Last year, they served over 10,000 individuals, helping with benefits assistance, specialized information, options counseling. And I learned yesterday we have a new service called Home Choice Transition Coordination Services. This is for individuals who are currently in a long-term care facility and they want to go back out into the community. So we help folks and we help them get the supports they need. Let's not forget caregivers. Last year we helped close to 2,000 caregivers by providing $175,000 in respite reimbursement. Okay? You know caregivers are precious to us all, and we could not really continue in this world without all the caregivers we have. So in closing, I'm going to say, life can be challenging. Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging cares, and we can help. You have needs, we have answers. Let our experts connect you or someone you know with the services and programs needed to remain independent. We are in the business to help, but we can't help if you don't call. We have a table outside. Raise your hand, Krista. Krista's at the table, and she can give you all the literature and information that you need to access our services. Thank you. Thanks for bringing in the sunshine.
Thanks, John. And thank you, Fatima. At this point, I'd like to bring forward Dr. Stephanie Fall Creek to welcome you on behalf of Fair Hill Partners, the place that we're in today. Thank you, Dr. Fall Creek.
Good morning, everybody. How many times can we say that? Good morning. It's always exciting, a little bit scary, but it's always exciting when the student outpaces the teacher. And I just want to share that in addition to working here for 6 years, Mary McNamara, director of the Department on Aging, did her graduate field work here from the MSAS School of Social Welfare. So let's give Mary a big hand for growth. And Mary was very instrumental in promoting one program that I just want to draw your attention to quickly in a tiny bit more detail, and that is the Senior Guest House. Fairhill provides Ohio's only shelter for homeless older adults. Now, older adults are in other shelters, but ours is a little different. It's specially crafted to meet the needs and the challenges of older people. They're a special population, too. And many of the participants in the Senior Guest House program are people just like everyone else in the room. They just, through one circumstance or another, happen to find themselves homeless. And we're so grateful that we are able to provide this special home-like atmosphere to help them make a transition to a new and permanent residence. That's one of the several programs that we have here. So let me just do a quick check in the room with a straw poll. How many of you have never been here before? A good portion of the room. The rest of you, be patient with me and be prepared to cover what I miss. So some of the things that you can find here at Fairhill Partners is when you came through the front door, I hope you had a warm welcome. So it's a place where you should always get a warm welcome. We have a benefits enrollment center that is part of the Area Agency on Aging's larger Aging and Disability Resource Network. So we partner with Mary and her ADRC and with the Area Agency on Aging to help connect people to benefits. We especially work sort of in the first and second ring suburbs, and I'll bet some of you live in some of those suburbs. So if you don't have a local resource for benefits assistance, you can call us or you can come here and we'll try to assist you. We also deliver programs to help people help themselves to manage long-lasting health challenges. No matter what our circumstances as we age, we encounter new challenges. And our definition of successful aging here at Fairhill Partners is learning to adapt to meet the challenges that you're inevitably going to face. We will all face them. You know, I've got arthritis in my knees that won't quit. I had to learn how to modify my life to be able to continue to do the things that I want to do to accommodate that particular circumstance. I would bet that somewhere between 70 and 90% of the people in this room have at least one long-lasting health condition, whether it's migraines, depression, diabetes, it could be a physical challenge, it could be a vision challenge in addition to the hearing challenges that many people experience. Any one of those and hundreds of other long-lasting health conditions need to be worked out to enable us to continue to live the way we want to live, and as Fatima put it, to live as independently as possible in our own homes. So we offer programs in chronic disease self-management, diabetes self-management, pain self-management. By the way, did you all know that one of the fastest growing user groups for opioid abuse is older adults? So much of what we see is the problem in young adults, and it is a problem, but older adults and opioid use and abuse is also a problem. And in our pain self-management program, we often encounter people who are trying to learn to manage their pain with no or reduced use on opioids, because the truth is opioids are not a very good manager of chronic pain. They're helpful in acute circumstances, but over the long haul, whether it's arthritis or migraines or back problems, they're not the best solution to managing those. So those are some of the courses that we offer to help people manage their chronic health conditions. The other, and our most popular program for helping people to manage their lives and do more of what they want is called Matter of Balance. Matter of Balance is a fear and fall prevention program that helps people learn how to do both of those things, manage their fears about falling and try to prevent the falls or figure out how to get up once you do fall. And all of the programs that I just talked about, the chronic health conditions and the Matter of Balance, are programs that for the most part are led by peers. And I was just talking to your new director of the Speech and Hearing Center about the possibility of developing some special programming to identify folks in the community that want to learn to be facilitators of those programs who are themselves a part of deaf culture and wanting to bring the tools that are perhaps not as accessible in that culture yet to that culture. So I look forward to continuing to work with Dr. Vick to try to bring that about. There's lots of other programs here. We won't take the time to go over them today, but I encourage you, pick up resources from the resource table, ask someone a question, and most of all, I'm so glad to be able to welcome you here today. Thanks so much.
And I wanted to, at this point, move into our program and just tell you a little bit about how we got to this point. Each year when we're planning this annual event, which this is our 13th annual, we partner with different agencies in the Aging and Disability Resource Network and in the ADA Cleveland Network. It's been both fun and educational for our team to partner with Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center. If you didn't know, they've been in our community a really long time. They are 97 years old, soon to be another centenarian in our community. Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center is the oldest freestanding speech and hearing center in the United States. I love presidential trivia, so I loved reading this, that the first headquarters of the organization was established in 1924 under the guidance of Helen Newell Garfield, daughter-in-law of President James Garfield. We are delighted that their headquarters is right in the city of Cleveland on Euclid Avenue in Ward 9. And at this time, it's really my pleasure to hand over the program to Dr. Janelle Vick, the Executive Director of Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center. Dr. Vick directs all aspects of the $4.5 million nonprofit organization. Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center is the only nonprofit agency dedicated to helping individuals gain or regain their ability to communicate with others and live more independently. Services include speech-language pathology, audiology, neuropsychology, American Sign Language interpreting, and deaf support and advocacy. Dr. Vick is also an assistant professor of communication sciences in the Department of Psychological Services at Case Western Reserve University. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Vick to the podium.
In a few minutes, I can say good afternoon, but for now, I will say good morning. Thank you so much, Mary, for the great introduction for me and for Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center. I'm so grateful for this opportunity for us to share with you about deaf culture. I'm so grateful to Mayor Jackson for addressing us, to Councilman Conwell for organizing this. I'm just happy to hear that we have such support from the city. To Fairhill Partners for hosting this event, to the Department of Aging, to the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging, and to our interpreters, and to each and every one of you for being here today to enjoy the afternoon. So as Mary said, we offer a lot of services at Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center, some of which you may have never heard about. We have clinical services, as she said, so speech therapy, audiology, neuropsychology. These are services that we provide to the community regardless of any individual's ability to pay. And we are a resource for you and for the people you love. Today, our program is provided by our Community Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. which is a really extraordinary program where we provide support services, educational programs, advocacy, arts programs, and sign language interpreting, all of which for our community who's deaf or hard of hearing are essential services, and we're the only resource in Northeast Ohio for all of these services for this community who's very special, and you'll get a chance to learn a lot about today. I wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about diversity. We're all different, and that's what makes this world such an amazing place. And I think we all envision a world where differences are valued and embraced, but we come to the table sort of wired for our own kind. So when you're born as a baby, neuroscience has told us that right when you're born, you can hear the sounds of every language of the world. And babies love to look at faces, and brand new babies can look and see all the differences in different faces of people of different ethnicities and races than their own. But when babies get to be about between 3 and 6 months, they start to become experts and they specialize in people who look and sound like themselves. Now, the reason for that is very much about safety. This is about babies knowing who their caregivers are, and as they grow, knowing who their tribes are. So this is about times way in the past. But in the modern day, for children and adults, this creates biases and preferences and attitudes that draw us to people who are like us. It makes us more challenging to appreciate differences. So when we talk about people who have different abilities, if those abilities are different than yours, it's easy to have an attitude or a bias that might make you think that that person can't achieve potential. And that's just not the truth. Disabilities, as they're called, are only barriers to success and achievement because of how our society is structured. And we can do this different if we approach people with customer service. So that requires you to have self-awareness. You have to think about, what biases do I have? What attitudes that I have that might change how I see another person? That self-awareness is the biggest piece. And this day that we've done to honor differences in abilities for the past 13 years is part of helping people to recognize differences and embrace them with a new attitude. So I'm proud to be the executive director of the center. We serve individuals whose different abilities are pretty invisible. So a person who stutters, for instance, you'd never know that that person was different until they speak to you. But the key difference is that they may never speak to you. For a person who has difficulty using speech or language, often, or challenges with hearing, we often see people isolate. They keep themselves closed off. And that eliminates their ability to connect with family and friends. It reduces their success in academics and in the workplace. So our work at Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center is sort of break those barriers down to help people, regardless of how they communicate or whether they have the ability to hear. So for people who are hard of hearing, we provide access to hearing aid technology, for instance. Often, there's a financial barrier to getting that technology. And we have programs sponsored by the county, for instance, that give people access to hearing aids for low or no cost. And that's great, and we're happy to do that. So please remember us if you or your family member has need. But today, you're going to hear from our Community Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Our goal for the program today is to give you a better understanding of and appreciation for our deaf community, its language, and culture. So if you're like me in the hearing community, the culture for the deaf community and the language is very different. You might have biases or attitudes that contribute to some of the barriers that exist in our community for people who are deaf. Some of these barriers can include a lack of access to information in medical settings, in legal settings. And think about this. If there's a disaster or an emergency in our community, there's a lack of access to information about what to do and what's happening, simply because we don't see interpreters often on the television screen with our public officials. So our vision at Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center that we tell everybody is a community where everybody can communicate effectively. But today, with this wonderful gathering sponsored by the city, I want to put forward a vision for the city where there are no barriers to communication for any member of the community, that we can create access for all. So let's get started. Today, you're in for a real treat. You're going to learn about deaf culture, community, and language from Casey Ring and Bill Morgan. Casey's been the manager of the Learning Center at the Community Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing at Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center for close to a year. He's a graduate of Gallaudet University, but he was born and raised here in Cleveland, and we're so lucky that he's here to serve. He's going to share with you today about his experiences as a deaf person, and he wants to help you learn about deaf culture. Bill Morgan is the artistic manager of Cleveland Hearing and Speech Center, and he's been in this role for 10 years. The Morgan, as he prefers to be called, is responsible for our Sign Stage program, which is a deaf awareness theater program within our Community Center for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. In Sign Stage, they use theater techniques to educate people about deaf culture. Bill is a highly accomplished, he's had a highly accomplished career. He's nationally and internationally recognized as a playwright, a performer, and a producer, and he's received an award most recently from Mayor Jackson in 2013 for creativity in promoting awareness of deaf culture. So I'll turn things over to Casey and Bill, and I hope you enjoy the program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Vick, for setting up this wonderful event. I wanted to give you a little bit of background on our culture. It's not meant to be as culture shock, more of leading you through it, okay? Now, I won't use my voice. I have my interpreter here who's voicing everything for me for the rest of the presentation. So if you have any questions at all, please hold it until after the presentation, and then I will take questions, okay? Oh, goodness. Sorry about that. So I wanted to teach you a few words that you can copy from me. So this is the sign for yes. Go ahead and copy me. And this is the sign for no. And this is the sign for maybe. So I'll be asking a few questions during the presentation. So you can either use yes, no, or maybe to answer me, all right? Now Bill will do a performance about telephone on the street.
So the content of the skits is what's important. Our acting and our performance is way over the top, very exaggerated, very overacted, but we exaggerate in order to make a point. So the content of what you see is what educates the audience. So the first little thing that we're going to do shows you a few examples of just how ridiculous some hearing people can be when they're associating with a deaf person. And that's it.
So this skit is called Telephone on the Street. Here is our, oh, wait a minute. I forgot. I have this phone here, and I have to text my friend, but the battery's dead. Oh my gosh, I don't have a plug to plug it in, and I can't use my phone. I don't see a plug anywhere. Oh, perfect, I have an idea. A payphone. And maybe I can get a hearing person to help me use the payphone. If I write a note and show it to them, asking what I need, they can call my friend for me, because I need to tell my friend to come and pick me up at 7 o'clock. So let me get out my piece of paper. Okay, let me call.
Oh, it's so nice to see you today. What a beautiful day it is outside. Yes, indeed. Oh, a love letter. He's got... What? You're deaf? Oh, no! He's deaf! Oh, the poor man can't hear! I feel so sorry for him now! What can I do to help? I know! I will just cure him with a magic spell! I'm going to cure you! Oh, Lord, Can you hear now? Oh, he looked at me. He can hear. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
I'm still deaf. Oh, I really need some help. Oh, no.
Oh, good afternoon, sir. How is everything today? Huh? Talk up, boy! I can't hear you. No? What? Oh. Deaf? Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, I don't want to get that. Isn't that some kind of disease or something? Oh, what if he touches me and I become deaf? I don't want that. No, don't touch me. You stay away from me. Get away, get away, Ah!
You're so scared of a note. I don't... Here comes somebody.
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? Oh, you're deaf. Yeah. I said, you're deaf! Yeah! You can't hear, right? You can. All right. Well, let's see here. You want me to make a phone call? All right. Let's see. Now we get... Wait a minute. No. Money. Oh, hi there. Yeah, my name's Jeff. Yeah, there's this deaf guy here. He said his battery's dead. He wants me to call you and tell you to pick him up at 7 o'clock right here on the street. Yeah, right here. I'm not done yet. Give me a chance. Yeah, no. No, he's a deaf guy. He wrote a note. He wants me to tell you to pick him up right here on... Yeah, I'm not finished! Yeah, you know, right here for... Oh, you know where it is. Just pick him up. Okay, goodbye.
Wait, stop. No. Now I have no idea what my friend said. Is he coming to pick me up or not? I really need someone to help me with this.
Oh, hey, how you doing? Hi, you look like you're having some problems. Oh, you're deaf. You want... Oh, yeah, sure, I can call for you. Let's see here. All right. No, come on. It's only a quarter, come on. Let's see. Oh, hi there. Yeah, my name's Bill. There's a deaf guy here, and he wanted me to give you a note to pick him up on 42nd Street at 7 o'clock. You got the note. Another person called you. Oh, but you don't know if your friend got the... Oh, okay, all right, I'll see if I can tell. So you know to pick him up, 42nd Street, 7 o'clock. You got that? You got that. Okay, all right, we got that. All right. He said he will get you right here at the time is 7, right here. Yeah, 42nd Street, right here. Him, a good friend of yours, he talked, time 7, yeah, he's going to drive here, get you. Okay. Oh, he's standing by that payphone, you know where that, you do? Oh, yes, all right. Well, we communicated. Excellent. All right, then we'll let him know. All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Good job, yeah.
Excellent.
Glad to help. A little bow.
Now, to explain the difference between capital D deaf, that is a person who grew up in deaf culture, in the deaf community, such as CODAs, children of deaf adults, generationally deaf individuals. Those are people who would be categorized as capital D deaf, those who have experienced deaf culture. And they could also be first generation deaf, like myself. I'm the only deaf person in my family. I never did find my identity as a deaf person until later in life when I went to Gallaudet University in Washington, D.C., and that's where I discovered my identity and that I was a capital D and am a capital D deaf individual. Hard of hearing individuals, those who have experienced hearing loss, who may have been born hearing but have lost their hearing later in life, they tend to categorize themselves as hard of hearing. They don't categorize themselves as deaf, which is completely fine. That word is very, very malleable and comfortable for a deaf person. So why do we have deaf culture? Deaf people have their own culture comparatively to other cultures of the world. They have their own cultures just the same. But deaf culture is very deep. It's very strong. We have our own signed language. We have our own structure. We have our own grammatical structure. We have our own poems. We have everything. And is everyone in deaf culture deaf? Not necessarily. They can be. So, you can become deaf at a part of the deaf community by being an advocate and supporting the deaf community. Just like interpreters, they support the deaf community as well. They facilitate communication between deaf and hearing individuals, and they support deaf people in their culture and to help them have communication access and to understand what's going on around them. CODA, children of deaf adults, they are hearing, but they're involved in deaf culture from birth because their parents are deaf. So they were raised in that, and when they become adults, they can become interpreters later in life. And that's another way to help out the deaf community. The deaf community is very, very, very small. We have our own value systems, we have our cultural norms, our beliefs, just like any other culture of the world. Would deaf people be considered disabled? Or is deafness a disability? You can show me by signing yes or no. Which would you think? No. Correct. We don't prefer disability, we prefer diversity instead of disability. We have a lot of pride in the deaf community, and we're very prideful of our community. We have many, we don't care, we invite everyone, we accept everyone. We don't care, where you come from, as long as you value culture and language. Deaf people have their own storytelling, and they're very proud of that. They're not shy, they don't hide. We're very proud of being deaf. And it's very easy to identify someone who is deaf. Just like the schools in the area have their own foreign language classes, it would be the same idea as with ASL. ASL, also known as American Sign Language, got recognized as a foreign language in Ohio in 1997. There's many different kinds of sign language all over the world. There is international sign language, there's British Sign Language, there's Australian Sign Language, there's a myriad of different sign languages. So here in America we use ASL, or American Sign Language. When people from other countries come to America, we use more of a gestural language to facilitate communication between both sign systems. But they can be very similar in how we sign. So the English structure and the English language is very precise. ASL is not as precise. We tend to move our structure around. So in English, you would say, I am going to the store tomorrow. In ASL, we would sign, store, me, go, tomorrow. Or tomorrow, store, I go. There's different ways you can sign that, and they're both correct. ASL is the third most used language in America. And I'm surprised to see it growing in popularity. And I see many people saying, I want to learn sign language, I want to learn sign language. That's absolutely acceptable. You can try at all your best to learn. And you want to become a skilled signer, it might take up to 7 years to learn fluency. And to be fluent, the most integral part of that is to socialize with other deaf people and socialize in the deaf community to gain fluency in the language in our culture. There's two different perspectives. There's the deaf perspective that cherish our culture and our deafness and everything that comes along with it. And there's the hearing perspective as well that's, oh, I'm so sorry, like you saw in the video. Oh, I'm so sorry you're deaf. Let's get rid of that perspective. Bye, see you later. Let's get it out of here. Deafness is the same as hearing culture. Deaf culture and hearing culture can be the same, and we're just like hearing people. I want to explain two differences between deaf community and the hearing community. So give you some examples of the differences between our communities. So you see me waving my hand here. That is an attention-getting mechanism that we use. Hearing people, they can just call each other from across the room and call their name out. Deaf people, we tend to wave to get their attention to orient themselves towards the person waving. And deaf people tend to gather in the kitchen, whereas hearing people tend to gather in the living room during parties or different social events. And deaf people are in the kitchen. Why would you think deaf people gather in the kitchen instead of the living room? Why would you think that? Conversational. Conversational? Okay. Because the light is so much better. You can see each other. In the living room, it tends to be a little darker. And I'm from an all-deaf family. I'm here with my dad, and we love to conversate in the kitchen. Exactly. The lighting is the brightest in the kitchen. And you can see everyone's facial expressions, their signing, their body language a lot more clear in the kitchen. And hearing people rely on the tone of their voice to convey feelings. If they're angry, if they're excited, if they're happy, that goes with tone of voice. Deaf people have body language and facial expressions, so you can clearly see what expression they want to convey and what feeling they want to convey. So when it gets time to go, excuse me, I lost my balance there. So when it's time to go, hearing people tend to shake hands, very nice to meet you, maybe a pat on the shoulder, good to see you. Deaf people tend to say, oh, I love you, and we tend to hug a lot, and then we depart. That's a norm in deaf culture, hugging, a lot of touching as opposed to hearing people. Yeah, I'm doing this attention-seeking thing again. So deaf people are on a first-name basis. You know, if I'm deaf, I'm deaf, so I introduce myself as Casey. And this is my sign name, KC. The letters KC. Hearing people tend to say, you know, my name is Mr. Ring. You know, we're very open, you know, we're on a first name basis. We're not as formal in the deaf community. Hearing people depend on their hearing, whereas deaf people depend on visual cues as opposed to auditory cues. We have deaf people, you know, here who might miss the conversation or miss the presentation, so they can see behind me the presentation is up on the screen if they miss anything I say. So we have another performance called The Hitchhiker.
Hello, once again. Now, this little skit, again, it's called The Hitchhiker, and it's about another hearing person that seems to make a fool out of himself because he tries to take advantage of deaf culture. And so, again, The Hitchhiker. On that road again. I just can't wait to get on that road again. I'm making music with my friends. Whoa, I see a hitchhiker here. Hey, come on in, pal. I'm on my way to Las Vegas. Woohoo! Gonna get me a big pot of money. Yes, indeed. Which way you going there, pal? Which way you headed there? I'm going to Las Vegas. Where you going? Hey, whoa. You can't hear? How am I gonna know where you're going? Oh, paper and pencil. All right, that works. Henderson! Ah, right on the way! Yeah, I'm going to go right by there. Not a problem. All right, you ready? All buckled up. On that road again. I just can't wait. Oh, man. I've been driving a long time, I'm telling you. Oh, sorry. No, I'm fine, yeah. Okay. I know. All right. I'll pull over. I'm awfully tired. I'm saying, oh, wait. No, wait. Do you have a driver's license? Oh, here. Do you have a driver's license? Yes, indeed. Yeah, just because he's deaf doesn't mean he can't drive. All righty. How about you drive, me sit there, I will be. Now you here, drive, me there, sleep. No, right here. You, drive. Me, walk around there, sleep, you walk around there, drive. That's it! All right. All right, pal. Just take off. I'll be fine. Oh. What are you doing speeding for? Oh, not my problem. You're the one driving. I'm not getting that ticket. Nothing to do with it.
License and registration, please. License and registration, please.
I'm sorry, he can't hear. He's deaf.
License and registration, please.
Oh, it doesn't help to talk loud. He's deaf. He can't hear anything.
Slow down. Slow down. No. Slow down. Slow down. No. Your speedometer, this way. Slow down. Slow down. No. The brake. Hit the brake. Yes, brake. Slow down. No. Tell your friend to slow down. All right. Get out of here. Have a nice day.
How about that? Hey, you didn't get a ticket. You didn't get a ticket. Give me five. High five. Yeah, that's good. All right. How about, wait. How about if, why don't you let me drive now? I will drive. You sit here. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Sweet. All right? We're gonna get there now, aren't we? Woohoo! Boy, we're really taking off. Woo!
License and registration, please. Sir, your license and registration, please. Oh, so you're deaf. No problem. My parents are deaf. I'm a coda, so I grew up using sign language. It's actually my native language, so this is going to be perfect. Okay, so I need to see your license and registration. Oh, and you're deaf too. That's wonderful. Hey, what's your name? Yosef. Okay. And your sign name is Yosef. It's nice to meet you, Yosef. And you, what's your sign name? Look at me!
What?
I got you. All right, mister. That's it. You're getting 2 tickets.
What? 2?
Yeah. One,
Why?
that's for speeding.
But I just...
Your second ticket, that's for pretending to be deaf and trying to take advantage of deaf culture. You definitely get a ticket for that. You can't fake sign language. It's rude and offensive. Get out of here. Have a nice day.
Okay. I know what you're so mad about. I'm the one that got the tickets. Oh, nuts. pass it off. Back to Casey.
That was wonderful, wasn't it? Did you like that? Yes? No? Yeah. So clapping with your hands, that's not how we do it in deaf culture. We do this with waving our hands in the air. Now, some things, there are deaf etiquette in deaf culture. There's deaf etiquette. So if you know ASL, or if even you sign a little bit, please inform the deaf person and tell them that you know a little bit of sign, just like you saw here, that, oh, I know sign as well. That is considered polite in deaf culture. Please don't pretend. There's many examples of etiquette. Eavesdropping, spying on someone's conversation. Deaf and hearing people both do it. Hearing people can overhear a conversation. Deaf people can see a conversation from across the room. See someone signing and, oh, I didn't know that about so-and-so. Interesting. Just like I was explaining about being in the kitchen with the proper lighting. Lighting is essential for deaf culture, for conversations. When you want to get a deaf person's attention, you can tap them on the shoulder, you can stomp your foot, you can flicker the lights. Deaf people will, if they see the lights going, they'll know to look for someone who's getting their attention. Deaf people tend to have very over-exaggerated facial expressions comparatively to hearing culture. So you can see all of the emotion and expression, just like when he was saying, oh, the trees were flying by, and as to signify them driving fast. The use of space in deaf culture. We can have conversations from across the room. Hey, how you doing? Oh, hello. I want to give you a little warning. People who are deaf are very, very blunt, very straightforward. For an example, if you get up and you run into someone and they go, oh, what, did you get up on the wrong side of the bed this morning? Your hair's a mess. Are you okay? I was running late. I'm so sorry. I didn't have time. And deaf people tend to show up unannounced. And, well, I invited you. Why didn't you RSVP? Let me know with more heads up. That way I can prepare next time. And if it's a last minute appointment, you might not be able to get in. And deaf people love visuals. If they have a sign, for directions on where to go, they love that for an event. And you see deaf people having a conversation, you can walk straight through. You don't have to go, oh, well, excuse me, and duck down and walk real slow in between them. Just walk on through. You don't have to say anything. It's completely polite. It's not offensive at all. It's within deaf culture, within the norm of deaf culture. The do's and don'ts, if you're speaking very quietly, or whispering, and hearing people can take advantage of whispering, but deaf people, like myself, I would turn my voice off and the interpreter's voicing for me, as you see here. Is it exactly the same? Not necessarily. My signing is contextually accurate with what the interpreter is saying. But if there's a sign or something like that, you can point to, it's not polite to point at people or over-exaggerate when you're speaking to someone. Like in the video, you saw the guy say, how are you? Or how can I help you? You know, and if you get pulled over by it's happened to deaf people where they've gotten pulled over by the police and they think that they're having an argument inside the car, and that's not the case. You know, the police officer comes up and says, well, I saw you two arguing in the car, and oh, no, we were just signing, we were talking with each other, we were just having a conversation. And then the police officer realizes that there wasn't a problem at all in the first place. And it was just a simple misunderstanding. ADA, or the Americans with Disabilities Act, are you aware of that? You can sign yes. It was passed in 1990, which immensely helped for the accessibility of deaf individuals who want more in-depth awareness of what's going on around them. Accommodations, there's a myriad of options of accommodations. An interpreter, such as this interpreter, who's helping me speak. So I sign. And maybe if I use my voice, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. So the interpreter clarifies what I'm saying for you, and that's my accommodation that I use. And she helps everyone in the room understand each other more clearly. And we use well-qualified interpreters, and the important word in there is qualified. And having a qualified interpreter helps immensely. Having your brother, sister, family member sign for you is not a good accommodation. They're not an interpreter. And there's also an FM system, and there's also a CDI, which means a certified deaf interpreter. A deaf person with a certification would sit and sign with a hearing interpreter who would be facilitating the information to the CDI. And they can accurately express information with the use of a hearing interpreter. And interpreters are facilitators. They're not aides, they're not helpers. They just say what we want to say and vice versa. If you see a deaf person, try to avoid saying, oh, well, your use of English is so good and you speak so well. But that's not really polite to say that. We prefer using our own language as ASL. If you talk to me directly, I might not understand what you're saying, but through an interpreter, I can understand you more clearly. So there's 3 different kinds of interpreters you'll see here.
Depending on how we triage the patients, if we triage the patients and they need an ambulance, we will work with county EMS. I've been talking to Paul, the CCO, this morning, working with them very closely on how to move
his
patients.
brother.
So if it's an ambulance patient, we'll move them to the ambulance.
This is a deaf man's brother, and his sign skill is lousy at best.
We'll move those patients.
I think our
This is
day
a certified interpreter.
The good thing is we have trained for this, we have prepared for this, we are ready for this. We have hundreds of thousands of people who are counting on us to do our jobs over the next couple days.
Just as you saw these 3 ladies, they are certified interpreters. They're very polite. They help deaf people.
There is going to be a lot of wind. There will be damage as a result of that wind. There will be structures that will be damaged. There will be trees that will be down. There will be power lines that will be down, and we may not have power for a number of days, if not weeks. But what I'm concerned about the most is the...
And now is the certified deaf interpreter, the CDI.
6 to 12 feet have impacts above ground level is now probable. 6 to 12 feet. This will cover your house. If you've ever been watching how storm surge works, it flows in fast, very fast, then it flows out. You will not survive all this storm surge. This is a life-threatening situation. If you've been ordered to evacuate, you need to leave now. Do not wait.
Now you notice the 3 different kinds of interpreters, the differences between them, yes? No? Which would you prefer? Raise your hand if you prefer the first interpreter. Any of you? No? If you prefer the second interpreter, raise your hand. Yeah, many would prefer either the second or the third interpreter. The third interpreter is for deaf people who have difficulties understanding English, so they create a more clear picture of what's going on. As you can see from the video that the winds were very severe and that the water was very high. How many of you know what the word autism means? Raise your hand. So I'll show you the sign for that word. This is the sign for autism. So why do we sign it that way? It's to oppress people, to keep them out of the loop. And we're constantly fighting autism every day. 365 days of the year, we're fighting autism. People who refuse to learn ASL so that I can communicate with them. It's a better communication system for me, but their refusal to learn is a form of autism. Many deaf children, their immediate response to deaf children is that we have to fix them. We have to fix their hearing. We have all these fancy surgeries that we can fix them. But where's their identity in that? It's completely lost. We want to savor their identity. We want to keep their identity and value it. Now, this is the last performance, and this is called The Restaurant.
Okay, once again, this is a little skit, and the performance is called The Restaurant, and it is a perfect example of a person suffering from the ailment of autism. It's customer, right this way, sir. We have a chair for you, and the menu too. One menu for you, and a cup of coffee. One cup of coffee, yes indeed. A cup of coffee. Oh, you know coffee. All right, no coffee. Okay. And would you like something else? What was that? You can't hear? Oh man. Oh, these deaf people come into my restaurant all the time. Oh, they're always messing up, making a mess out of everything, expecting me to know what they're talking about. Oh man. Oh, what am I going to do? I just ignore them. Maybe he'll go away. All right, so you don't want coffee. All right, fine. You don't want coffee. What do you want? Coke? You want a Coke? Coca-Cola. One Coca-Cola. Okay, one Coke. Coming up. There we go. One Coca-Cola. There you go. Yeah, you want a Coke? What? Oh, you think you're so smart. Okay, fine. You get water. Okay. Glass of water. There. Are you happy now? Oh, man, I'm telling you, there's a mess. What? All right, so you want pork chops? Pork chops? Pork chops. So, mine, he gets pork chops. There we go. 1. Pork chops. Pork chops. What? No, fish. You wanted fish? You didn't want fish. Fish. You want fish. Okay. You want fish. All right. There we go. 1 order of fish. Got it? Okay. Chicken? Thanks a lot. You know, you're not really helping me out any. All right. 1 order chicken. There. You happy? Oh, man. Y'all, this is a mess. Total disaster. Not my fault either. This guy's fault. Deaf people walking in my restaurant, making a mess out of everything. Well, you know what? I'm going to get the last laugh today because, let's see now, I think he ordered coffee. That was $5. And he had a Coke. That's $5. And he had water. That's $5 today. And then he had fish. And he had pork chops. And he had chicken. $89. There you go, buddy. Read them and weep. Come on, pal. You ordered all that food. Now you gotta pay me. Come on. Hey. I take money. I take money. Money. Well, look, if you don't pay me, oh, all right, then fine. I'll just call the police. I'll call the police. Hello, police, yeah. Yeah, I got a guy in my restaurant. He's eating all this food. He's ordering it all, and now he won't pay for it. Yes, that's stealing. I want him arrested. Okay, you'll be right over. Good. Oh, you just wait, pal. You just wait. You'll see. I'm going to have you arrested because you're stealing my food. Oh, hey, right here. This guy right here. Yeah, now he's eating all this food. He's ordered all of it. Now he won't pay for it. That's right.
Won't pay for it?
No, he refuses. $2? $2? No. $2? That's not possible. No.
$2? That's it? No, that's it, buddy. We're going downtown. Turn around. You're under arrest.
Yep.
Come on. You're under arrest.
Not my problem.
Turn around. Hands behind your back. All right. You're going downtown, buddy.
Ho. Ooh, now isn't that terrible? Yeah. That's really terrible. Now, yes. We always perform and we make it bigger than real life. Yeah, we make it big. But that's an example of a situation that really happened. It really happened to one of our friends. Yeah, it really happened. We make it bigger to make a point. All right? Let's try it again. Only right way this time. Right. A customer! Right this way, sir. I have a chair for you. And a menu too. One menu for you. And 1 cup of coffee. And a cup of coffee. Yes, we have a no coffee. Oh, there's no coffee. Oh, paper and pencil. How easy.
How fantastic was Science Stage today? And I know we all want to thank Casey Ring for talking to us about deaf culture and helping us to understand some of the really important differences. So thank you to Casey.
Thank you.
And thank you to all of you. I want to tell you that if you can stay, we're going to have an awesome music performance by Science Stage coming up. But first, we have Councilman Kevin Conwell here from the 9th Ward, who we have to thank for all of this and for the vision and leadership to create a day to appreciate people and their differences. So welcome, Councilman. Thank you so much.
I used to sign a long time ago. I used to sign I see you at council. I used to sign a long time ago, but I kind of forgot a little bit. I've been busy doing councilman work. However, I do remember how.
He's finger spelling his name. His sign name is Kevin right here on the side of his face.
Right. So I remember a long time ago. You know, let me give it up for my my friends and my colleagues. Councilmember Zachary Reed over here. Zach is everywhere, man. Everywhere there's involved to help people. Zachary Reed is everywhere. And my good friend, hey Crystal, how you doing? All right. Oh man, all my friends are here. And Beverly Charles from the Congresswoman office. Can they say just a few words real quick? You have to be quick because we're behind time. Beverly Charles and my colleague, real quick for 15 seconds. You gotta be fast.
Good afternoon, and I'm going to be fast. I just want to thank you all for such an enlightening performance. It's really great. I can't wait to tell the Congresswoman about this. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you. Well, I had invited Councilmember Zachary Reed up, but he's dealing with a resident right now. I was giving him 10 seconds also. You're cool. All right. You know, let me say this. I'm so happy that we're out here dealing with the hearing impaired culture. I remember working for the Department of Human Services, and the deaf would come to the Department of Human Services, and and no one knew how to sign, and we would just make up stuff, and we didn't even think about total communication. Like with this, you use total communication. You could write things down also. You try to lip read as well as write things down, what's going on, to try to communicate. So I went to Dr. Cleveland Hearing and Speech. It wasn't where it is today. This was in the 1990s. I think Dr. Henry was there. Right. And it only cost $50. How much is it now to learn beginning sign language there? See, that's no money, man. That's no money. You could work with me, and maybe some of my residents might want to learn, and I could take care of that. And that's really cool. That's okay. You would say okay. And I learned, and then I started teaching myself. I got, it was these tapes you could order, and I would study every day, sign language every day. And I wanted to find out where I was at in sign language, and then I went to take a test at Tri-State Community College. And I taught myself up to advanced sign language. And what made me, and then I started volunteering to teach sign language in my community for free because I wanted other people to learn it. And I would go over to the Cleveland Heights Library over there with JR. Is JR still around? JR, anyone knows JR? He was there. He was a deaf activist. Cleveland Heights Library off of Coventry. And we would meet there every Wednesday. Yep, JR.
The deaf man back used to teach school? Yes, he's still around.
Still around? Yeah. He was good. He was real cool. Before your time. And she's young. She's a baby. And he had a lot of people there, and we would teach sign language, and I learned from him as well. And I said I was going to take this experience with me to Cleveland City Council when I got in Cleveland City Council. So when you guys reached out to me, as well as Rico, he's there all the time, fighting for deaf people, in my ear about it. As well as that, then I started writing legislation for hearing impaired people as well, because you have to remember that. Studying it gave me an up-close view and a genuine concern. Having that great understanding, I ended up being blessed to work for Goodwill Industries also, helping people to find jobs in the community, as well as the hearing impaired people to find jobs. Then when I became a Cleveland City Council person, I implemented and wrote policy and legislation to create a Disability Awareness Day luncheon, okay? And that's what we're here today. The thing that with Cleveland City Council and all of the in government, we should always have a way to reach out with hearing impaired people. You know what the hearing people don't understand, and let me tell you this, my work with hearing impaired, you could be a hearing person and then later you could lose your hearing in life. See, some people are born deaf, but then later in life, for whatever reason, it could be for whatever age, it's not correlated with getting older, you could lose your hearing. You could lose your hearing. And then they'll see how it is to be deaf. And a lot of lawmakers don't understand that. But I'm blessed that I do understand from working in the hearing impaired culture. So by doing this, it gave me an up-close view and a genuine concern and a sensitive ear. A sensitive ear. So when Rico or the doctor, you come by and you see me, I'm always open. And we'll sit down even with Kevin Kelly, because we do need to have an interpreter at Cleveland City Council. That way, the hearing impaired people or hard of hearing people will come down there more and it will open it up. Isn't that right, Rico? It will open it up. Yep. So that's very, very important. So saying that, for the second time, I'm very, very happy. And I'm going to sit down over there and thank you, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, my friends.